Hi, welcome to the channel. Today we'll be looking at a different type of filter design, just a concept really. I've taken the EQ8, which I believe is available in Ableton Standard and Suite, and rigged it up in an effects rack with macros and made some settings to make it behave as a filter. Quite a quirky little filter, has lots of different possibilities. We'll be looking at those in the introduction, and then afterwards I'll show you how you can put this filter together if you're interested. Let's have a quick listen then. Okay, so as I mentioned in the intro, I'm using EQ8 here. I believe it's available in Standard and Suite, and I'm using that. I've created effectively a filter concept with it. Let's have a quick look then what we have. We have the EQ8 here. You can hear that it's moving around within the sounds being played. I've just got Meld here, playing Fold FM and Crackle here. This filter works quite well when you have a lot of noise, works very well with it, and also a lot of harmonics. So it's a saw wave or something with a lot of noise harmonics in it. And what we have, let's go through it very quickly then. We have a control then over these 8 EQs here, effectively. We can move them around in the frequency range. We can increase or decrease the gain, the Q amount. See that? So we have control over these things. We can also change the filter type of number 1 and number 8. So the first filter type, gain on here. So we have a selection of different filter types. Maybe I just turn off the LFO for a second here. So we have here one combination. We can make various combinations. Filter type. Some quite curious filter designs, and I say with the gain you can emphasize certain frequencies. Try another filter type. See what else we have here. So you have all these very sort of curious ways of filtering out the frequencies within the audio material you're using, which I thought was quite fun, quite a novel idea. Then down the bottom here we also have, on the back of our rack here, so we've got the EQ8, we have an LFO, and finally a limiter at the back here, just in case we get, I mean, I've restricted this quite considerably in the constraints. We'll come to that in when we put the build together, but it's quite restricted, so it shouldn't have any problems, but it's always good to have a limiter on the back here just in case you get any high frequencies or loud volumes. But anyway, let's look at the LFO. What does the LFO do? The LFO effectively moves the frequency around, position of the frequency here. So we can have different shapes. At the moment, what are we on? Random. Let's go just to a sine. We can have it synchronized, quantized, or we can have it, I'm going to turn that down, running at a freeter. So we can move through these frequencies. Let's write different combination of filters. There we go. We can, let's say, change all the functions of the LFO. We can change the shape here, square, Change the rate up a bit. Okay, I hope that's understandable. So we have control over the position of the frequency, we have control over the gain, the Q. We can also, if we want to, we can have some snapshots here. Here are a few snapshots I've made with different types of filter shapes, I guess. So there's quite a lot of possibilities with these combinations. I tend to randomize quite a lot, just hit the random, and then if I get something I like, let's try this one with a bit of a beat. Let's sync this here to, leave it there, but let's put it on, let's try 16ths. That's the depth, sorry, the rate. Okay, we go to a bar. That's what I had in the introduction. Every one bar here, it was moving to a new filter position. This is also on random at the moment, so select a random position. Okay, not much more to say really. That's the function. Just as I say, different styles of filter that we can move through the frequencies. And what else do we have? Maybe do a simple sweep, and then we'll just turn that off. Turn off the LFO. As I say, different styles. Let's try random. Different combinations of these two filter types, that's filter 1 and 8, combined with these other peaks. Now, I should have mentioned as well, something I did in the previous filter. We'll come to this in the build, but these have very specific frequencies here. We can have a look, where are we? Here. So let's have a look here. The frequency here, frequency 1, 32.7. So these are actually spaced out like harmonics. Ooh. Change that back. These are spaced out like the harmonics. And as we move here through the material, the audio material, maybe we turn that down. Then we have here, the first one is set to 32.7, 65.4, 13, 1196, etc. So these have harmonic spacings. Maybe we can see that better. Let's have a look with, move this around a second. Here we go. So here you can see the spacings for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can either increase. So if I were to put number 1 on the fundamental, try and find the fundamental here. But this one here, let's line them up. You'll see that they kind of overlap. Don't really have a good fundamental here. So they line up with the different harmonics, and we can then move them as a group through the audio material. Gives quite a nice effect, I thought. So we can automate this to get a nice effect. Okay, we'll come to this in the build. I'll explain this a little bit better and a little bit deeper when we put it together. But I hope it's understandable for everyone. Let's have a look then how I put this together. It's not too difficult, just have to be a little bit careful with the constraints here, so that you don't get any excessive noise or volumes coming through, but we'll discuss that in a second. to begin with then, we'll be needing an audio effects rack. We can find that up here, audio effects rack. We'll just drop that in here, drag it in. I've kept my original macros. We click this icon, we'll see the original macros. I kept the original names to speed things up. We'll be needing 10 of these, so we'll open that up until we get the 10. Now we need to drop in here our EQ8, followed by the LFO. And finally we put a limiter on the end here, at the very back of the rack. First thing we can do is set up our EQ8. So a couple of things we need to do, quite important. First is to set this to -6. And the next thing is to make sure that all of these are the same. So this EQ setting here. Watch out for number 4, the middle one. That has to be the same as well, and number 8. We'll set them all to the same. Now we need to do a little bit of mapping. For the first thing we will map is our input gain from the limiter. We'll map that here, and then we'll turn that right down so that we don't have any problems there with volume. Then we can map here the LFO very quickly. We'll do the rate, the depth as well. The time mode here, we'll select that, and the shape of the LFO, the waveform. Then we need to come out of here again quickly and move this time mode around, and then we'll see that a new dial appears, a new rate setting, which we also need to map here to our rate. Right, so that's all set up. Now, one thing I've forgotten with the EQ8, let's come out of here. Make sure these are activated. I forgot to switch those on. So we have all 8 activated, and all 8 have to be this type of EQ, and this has to be -6. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go through and map these here, and we do each one individually. So I'll just give a couple of examples and then speed the video up because it takes a little while to do them. So we click on number 1, and we then click the green frequency, map it here, the gain, map it here, the Q, map it here. We repeat that for the next one. It doesn't matter which order you do them in. Frequency, gain, and Q, and you'll see that that has now jumped to the same position here. Okay, I'll just go through these. I'll speed up. I'll go through these and then see you on the other side. Okay, so they're all now mapped. We just have to put our constraints in. So we'll go up here, and it's a series of constraints we need to make. The first one is for the Q. I set this to 6 for number 1 here, 1 resonance, 6 here, and 6 here. And I did the same thing for number 8, which is this bottom one, 8 resonance, 6 and 6. And then we have here the Q values, which we'll put in. So all of these on the left side here, the minimum are 6, so we can set this all to 6. And these ones remain 18. Now, one more bit of mapping we need to do, I've forgotten here, which is the filter type. So we click this little green box here and map number 1 to 1 filter type A, and this little green box here for number 8, and we map that here. So we've got those mapped as well. Okay, let's go back to our constraints then. The input gain I set as a maximum of 3. I left the minimum at -24. And then we need to do our individual gains for each of the EQs. And for number 1 here, number 1 gain A, I set this as a maximum to 0, and I did the same for number 8. So you can see I'm treating number 1 here and number 8 separately from the center ones. We effectively have control over gain and Q for these, but the number 1 and number 8 are just different filter types with no gain increase and no Q increase. So then we need to go through on the left side here on number 1, and I set these all to -12. Let's go through very quickly, do these. And then we'll put for the maximum gain, we'll put our values in here for number 2. I set this to 12 dB as well on this side here. So this is reduced down to 12 from 15. Okay, so we have 12 minus 12. Okay, that's all set. Now we need to set up our EQ position so that they have the same spacings as the harmonic series. So we have 32.7 here. Here we have 1050, 65.4, 2090. Move the mouse so you can see. I'll put the screenshot of all these values up at the end so you can go to the end of the video and plug them in if you need to. Then we have 131, 3140, 196, 4190, 262, 5230, 327, 6280, 392, 7240, and finally 458, 8370. Okay, so the rest we don't change. So that's all the mapping done. We can turn our gain back up to 0 here and see what we get. Hopefully everything's... Oh, we need to... One final thing. Of course, we need to map here our LFO to control our frequency. And we'll set that down to... Right, so the LFO is now matched. And let's choose a value here so that we can make sure everything's okay. See if our Q works, gain works. Right, so with the gain and Q at maximum, with our filter 1 at 44 and this one at 29, you should have a graphic that looks like this. Anything different? And something's not right. Check that one. There we go. Okay, so they seem okay. So I think we can turn it on. Okay, so we should be able to sweep through the filters. Okay, as always, thank you for watching. Hope the video has been useful. If you liked it, please leave a like, comments, all the rest of it. See you in the next one, I guess. Take care.